So I'm a little down on Ohio State right now.
Understandably, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, man, if you're going to give us a coaching change at one of the biggest universities in college football, give us a circus. We didn't even get no coaching search. All we got is you hiring a dude that y'all say is good. That's no fun. Promote Shiano. We could have got another topic out of that.
Shiano would definitely be an A-block topic, but those search firms, you're right. This was easy money for them. Let us look at Twitter and you pay us $25,000.
They ain't even called a search firm. They just like, yo, you want to do this? All right, come on up.
Well, let's get into it then, because our first name is Urban Meyer. The Ohio State coach is stepping down following his team's appearance in the Rose Bowl, and the university announced offensive coordinator Ryan Day will take over for Urban. So, Bo, what was your reaction to this?
I mean, there was no surprise in this. I got the feeling going through the season when you started hearing the reports of this cyst and the problems that it was causing him, that was setting them up well for him to step out at the end of this season. Now, it's easy to connect this to what happened before the season, but, I mean, it looked like he beat that. He was past that. This just seems to be part of the Urban Meyer playbook, which is go super hard 5 or 6 years and then burn out and then need to step away. And that seems to be what happened here.
So I believe that Urban Meyer is this kind of like Greek mythological figure because he has this illness, Bomani. When he gets intense, when he gets stressed out, this arachnoid congenital cyst on his brain leaks and throbs and grows and leads him to grab all of his body parts and double over on the sideline. I believe that's true, but this is a man who we have seen retire twice before. When he was asked today at this press conference, do you see yourself coaching again? He said it's complicated, and I think the complication is from his desire to do the thing that defines him, while his body and his family and the people who love him, alums of the programs he's coached at, and his family, they desperately want to see him hang it up.
You know, he can't do this anymore right now. That seems to be the case. If the right situation comes up, then yeah, he'll probably come back. The question is, if you're Urban Meyer, like, what would count as the right situation? You went from Florida to Ohio State. This ain't Les Miles. He ain't coming back to coach Kansas, right? The job that would be required for him to find it intriguing, I imagine that's probably a list of one.
Yes.
And that one has a little something in common with that jacket you like to wear.
Yes, Notre Dame is the school that has been inside of his heart for years. That's what we've been told. But the record that this guy brings to any job indicates that he should not be settling for anything close to a Kansas and a Les Miles scenario. The guy is unimpeachably one of the best coaches. If you're putting him on a hand, he's one of the top 5 coaches, I think, of all time. 85% winning percentage. A guy who innovated schematically with the spread offense at Utah, who built Bowling Green in Utah, and then Florida, and then Ohio State. The guy is incredible at the job of coaching football.
And uncomfortable truth, at least on a functional basis. The scandal that started this season, it's a footnote, right? Like
it is now.
This should tell us a great deal about this game and what it is that people value. Liberty University is thinking about hiring Hugh Freeze.
Oh!
Yes, the dude that was allegedly calling escorts on his work phone while he was recording is going to work at the religious school.
That's right.
And Urban Meyer, who many of us were ready to run out of his job before Ohio State realized they couldn't eat that buyout. If he wants another job next year, whatever that job is, it is his.
Oh, yeah. No, he is a leader of men until it becomes something that is professionally disadvantageous. And this it wasn't a scandal that had legs in the sense that the public was A, galvanized, and that B, you could negatively recruit against it.
Well, it was not something that people were unwilling to let go. Not everybody could have survived it. He happened to be the person who could.
Maybe he shouldn't have, but nonetheless.
Next name, the Eagles. Defending Super Bowl champs kept their playoff hopes alive by beating the Washington football team last night. But Pablo, ESPN's Football Power Index gives them just 17.8% odds to make the postseason. Should we take their playoff chances seriously?
I think we have to. And yes, the Eagles are hanging on to a cliff with their hand white-knuckling, but they're getting footholds from this Washington football team, Bo. They are getting the broken limbs of Alex Smith and now Colt McCoy in 2 consecutive weeks to climb onto, and now they have the greatest position of all. They have Mark Sanchez to play against. Not just this one time, but again. If the Eagles are going to make the playoffs, they're kind of in control of their own destiny. They got the Cowboys coming up, and the football team we're seeing again. Like, this is doable, although it's not Easy.
Well, they're one game behind the Cowboys as things stand, right? If they were to beat the Cowboys next week, they would both be standing at 7-6. The issue is coming behind that for the Eagles are the Rams and the Texans,
that's
right?
Problem.
Like that's where it gets to be a little bit much for them and how seriously we take them. But we have to take their playoff chances seriously for one significant reason. To not take their chances seriously is to take the Cowboys seriously in a way that just makes me horribly uncomfortable, right? Like one of their
You're not convinced yet.
one of their chances has to be serious. And the Eagles, if they're that close to Dallas, I've been watching football long enough to say they got a chance to catch the Cowboys because the Cowboys got a chance to catch them, catch them from ahead and go behind.
Yeah. And it's not just the NFC East, too. They are in the hunt for that wild card spot. Minnesota has that right now. They are 6-5-1, I believe. The Panthers are technically still in it. They are 6-6. And for the Eagles, the bad news is that Carson Wentz doesn't look all the way healed. That knee injury that he suffered by diving into the end zone that led to Nick Foles coming in and saving the city of Philadelphia, that was something that seemingly still plagues him. So the ceiling is low, but they can get in.
I don't know about plagued, right? Like, you act like he's dragging his leg across the field. Like, he's not plagued by this knee injury. With that knee injury, do you think that Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Wentz? Because I don't.
I do not, just because the talent of Wentz is
but that ain't no plague, right?
Relatively.
I mean, watching him play versus last year, you can make the argument he's not as good this year.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if they don't win this, it's not going to be because of hobbled Carson Wentz. They got enough problems that are around this.
Defense.
They just got to figure out how do we win a game against the Rams and or Texans.
Yes.
That's what it comes to.
But the Cowboys, you're not convinced. You're not convinced that the Jason Garrett machine is at the very least capable of being mediocre enough to make it in the playoffs, Bo? You're not convinced of that?
What the hell have they ever convinced you of? What have the Cowboys ever convinced anybody of that was positive since the year 1996?
I just think that in a world of great mediocrity, the one-eyed man is king. And Jason Garrett may not have full vision, but he's got one good one that I think he's looking at.
Like I say, they can win it. It is possible. Are you counting on it? No.
No.
Well, that's the thing about it. We'll see what happens after this game that they're about to play. After this game that they play against the Eagles, then we'll have a better idea. The Cowboys got a game against the Colts, and that ain't no gimme for them.
Last name, Bruce Allen. Because the president of the Washington football team told ESPN's Lisa Salters that his organization did its own investigation into Reuben Foster's domestic violence allegations before claiming him on waivers, and that they heard, quote, a side of the story that is different, end quote. Bo, do you buy Bruce Allen's explanation for claiming Reuben Foster?
Well, for a moment, I will rent it. Let's just take a moment and entertain the possibility that what he's saying is true. And by the way, it is a possibility that we have to give some credence to. It is believable that the former general manager of the Bucs would be able to call and talk to people down there without the rest of us finding out, right? And the other part that is believable is that the story could be different because it may have been different the last time this woman alleged that Reuben Foster assaulted her. Like, we're dealing with all of that.
Unknowns.
Why didn't you tell me this right away? That's my question. If this is the case and you have a fairly plausible story, why did you send Doug Williams out there to do that in the first place when you could have done it? B, if you're going to send Doug Williams out there, why didn't you send him with this information? Because I don't recall hearing that. And C, when you wanted to relay this to the world, why didn't you do it in front of a camera? There was nothing to stop you from doing that. Why not?
If this was something that you had the whole time, you misplayed this. You misplayed your hand because, look, the incompetence was apparent when you put out the Doug Williams statement and Williams was spelled Willems. There was no I there, right? And it actually got worse from there, talking about, the high office and talking about how he has daughters and talking about how it's small potatoes. All of that was ugly. But if you're Bruce Allen, the thing that you do have in your hand that you're not saying, that you can still, I think, hope to play is this idea that people actually aren't going to sustain any outrage about Reuben Foster. We have seen over time, over this past week, Reuben Foster slide out of the major sports discourse. And it's sliding out because A, there are some unknowns, but B, look, ratings go up after scandals like this, not because people want more scandals, just because the football is that popular. I just don't think this threatens this team as a business enterprise.
Well, I think that if you're looking at this as, will this one act do it? Probably not. But I think that that's short-sighted. That is a franchise that has betrayed the trust of its fans for a very, very long time. And now they're turning up with empty seats, droves of them at these games. So to say they feel like they can outlast this, they can outlast this in the sense that this isn't going to be the crippling blow that takes them down, but this gets stacked up with everything else.
It should be.
Yeah, but it gets stacked up with everything that this silly franchise has done. And so to me, to just be like, well, it's not going to take them down. No, they're taking themselves down, and this is one part of how they did it. But again, they signed Junior Gillette. Nobody cared.
Up next, by the way.
Coming up next, Mama's Basketball Academy. Woo. Yes, Kobe is going to be teaching kids.
Can't wait.
I love podcasts like High Noons and Bomani's and the one I do every morning for you people.
Pier 17, brought to you by Chase.
The best part, though, about a Cowboys-Giants game to end the year, the Cowboys going to forget they're supposed to win. The Giants going to forget they're supposed to lose.
They really do need to lose. It's becoming a problem. They are doing very many athletic things, and it worries me that they may actually win a game. First quote. As much as what was made, the conjecture about him and I's relationship, it was always built on mutual respect and communication. That's why this is a difficult day for myself. Said Aaron Rodgers about the firing of his longtime coach, Mike McCarthy. Bo, do you really believe it was a difficult day for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it be a difficult day for him? Those dudes worked together for 13 years. They won a Super Bowl together. I don't have any reason to believe they have any personal animus toward one another, but for the entirety of Aaron Rodgers' tenure as a starting quarterback, Mike McCarthy's been the guy who has been behind him, right? Even if he hated him, I imagine that it would be a tough day, given that that is basically Aaron Rodgers' whole adult life.
Yes.
And now that's changed.
I think that is a fair point to bring up, but I also think that it's important to note that Green Bay kind of sees itself as a special sort of franchise. They see themselves as a civic trust for the community, and I've listened to people like Mark Chmura complain after McCarthy was fired that Aaron Rodgers was his prima donna, who was an NBA-style coach killer in all of that loaded messaging. And all of this is to say that what we're hearing now from Rodgers and from Mark Murphy, who says that Rodgers will not be consulted on the hiring of the next coach and that Rodgers doesn't need to be consulted, he himself has said, and that he says that obviously he's grieving over McCarthy's departure. All of that seems to be feeding this idea of, no, we're still going to do it the way Green Bay does it. We're not going to go NBA style.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Chmura they don't care about the NBA. Like, let's get that part straight. This is football, not basketball. That's not what NBA references very rarely have anything to do with the actual NBA. I do think saying these things insulates Aaron Rodgers, which is important. It insulates everybody involved to not say that. But, of course, he's going to be consulted. It would be silly and irresponsible not to consult him. He's just not going to drive the process because that's not his job. Next quote. I'm going to use my platform the right way. I'm not going to embarrass anybody. Said Red Sox manager Alex Cora about visiting the White House now that his team has accepted the invitation. Are you surprised Cora's going to attend?
I am a little bit surprised because this is not an opportunity for dialogue. The White House visit is a photo op, and the question anyone who has the opportunity to engage in that photo op must ask themselves is, do I want this photo? Right? Because we have stories of Kim Kardashian going to the Oval Office and working on prison reform, but really, what does it amount to? It amounts to a photo in which a person who says they don't want to normalize something is ultimately normalizing something. And for this man, Alex Cora, obviously the background is Puerto Rico, the background is Hurricane Maria, and that's a complicated thing to have to suss out when you have a photo and your rhetoric.
Yeah, I don't even know what's complicated about it, right? Like, if he goes, it's because his job is saying that he has to go, right? On some level, he believes that he has a professional responsibility to turn up. That would be the reason for it. I'm not even sure that he's actually going to go. Who knows what magically might pop up in his schedule. The only thing I would say to him is that I'm going to use my platform the right way. What does he think right is? And I ask that because some could argue that if you're vehemently opposed to somebody, showing up in the first place is using your platform the wrong way. Now, what you'll have people say when guys talk about not going to the White House, well, you have your chance to talk to the president. Go up there and do that. Is that what Alex Cora's plan is? Because I want to give him a little bit of warning. Craig Hodges did that. In 1991, he showed up and he gave a list of things that he wanted President George Herbert Walker Bush to pay attention to. He also showed up wearing that. And he never played another NBA game. The last time we saw Craig Hodges on the court, he was in a three-point contest wearing a jersey that said NBA on it because he did not play for a team, but they had to invite him to the three-point contest because the previous year's winner was automatically given the chance to come here. So I don't know what Alex Cora has in mind, but nothing that can happen there is a win for him.
Yeah, notably last year, Carlos Correa, Carlos Beltran, Tom Brady didn't go. You can opt out of this thing if you don't want to go. It's not that radical. Last quote. Mamba Sports Academy is a natural expansion of my commitment to educating and empowering the next generation of kids through sports. Said Kobe Bryant about his new youth academy. So, Bo, would you send your hypothetical child to the Mamba Sports Academy?
Hell no, I wouldn't send my child to the Kobe Bryant Academy. Here's the problem with sending your kid to the Kobe Bryant Academy. Kobe Bryant's the man that said, if friends come and go, but banners are forever. What happens if you don't have a banner? Now, like, if I think my kid is guaranteed to be one of the 15 best players of all time, I am absolutely sending him to work out for Kobe Bryant. But the Mamba method only works if you are that good. Otherwise, you're just a sociopath with no purpose.
Yeah, I would actually rather send my kid to the Smush Parker Academy for people who don't want to go to an academy founded by Kobe Bryant. Because what Kobe Bryant is doing here, Bo, it's kind of a heat check. Things are going great for Kobe. Kobe, on his first try, won an Oscar for that animated short. Kobe is now planning this whole universe of fictional fantasy Harry Potter-inspired books. And here now is his final goal, which is to spread the religion of the dark muse cage, all of which is troublesome for anybody who regards regard for others as important to any quest for self-actualization.
What I'm very curious about the Mamba Academy is they gonna work on passing. Like, I saw the hype video and they was throwing a medicine ball around, but I ain't seen nobody throwing no chest pass to each other. Coming up next, the Heisman's this weekend. Who you got? Academy even gonna talk to each other? Like, will there be any interaction amongst them?
I think they have to, like, meditate silently and stew in their displeasure.
How can you make friends with people that you're born to destroy?
It's deep. Today's number, -190. That's the current odds. Sportsbook Bovada is giving Kyler Murray to win the Heisman, making him the slight favorite over Tua Tagovailoa. So, Bo, are you surprised to see Kyler listed as the betting favorite now?
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't know how that happened, right? Like what they're basing this on, what they're getting their information on. Because, look, man, they're trying to make money. They got some system by which they do this. I just say, if Tua not performing well on a bad wheel is what makes you decide after all year you said that he was the breakaway Heisman winner, and then one weekend it flipped over. This is even more of a farce than I thought it was when I found out they gave Dan's daddy a vote.
Poppy has a vote, a real vote.
Yeah.
So I think this is tough for Gonzalo to decide. It should be, at least, because since 2004, when they started tracking QBR here at ESPN, no one has had the resumes that my two Heismanian candidates have, right? It's just not been a thing. They are exceptional. But based off of last weekend, Bo, what has changed? I think it's plausible to wonder if seeing a guy's backup quarterback come in and replicate some sort of his production, and watching over the whole year a defense really be stocked with talent that will play at the next level while Kyler Murray's defense does not, I think that would tip the scales in favor of Kyler Murray if you are consistent about such things.
And that would be stupid. And the reason that it would be stupid is what you just realized, that a former conference player of the year was Alabama's backup quarterback. What, you just woke up and realized that Alabama had a great defense? Tua did in that offense. They just won the game.
Agreed.
In close. What the hell, man? High school coach in Illinois suspended 10 players for 3 games for what? I lie to you not. Running naked across the school's football field with Oreo cookies in their boots. What? Apparently it wasn't hazing, but it was 10 guys running around with cookies in their boots. And that is absurd. But really, that's worth a 3-game suspension? Like, including the title game? They sent letters to these people's mamas and daddies to let them know what had happened. You kept somebody out of a state title game for this? I thought y'all was about it.
This gives new meaning to the term double stuff. I will say that. Now, Bo, beyond what was going...
No.
Did I just retire off of that, actually? I'm pretty proud of that.
You have ceded your right to speak anymore.
It's a waste of icing, you know.
What did I just say about your right being ceded? What I want to say is shout out to the producer. I wasn't sure if y'all was going to put cookies on this screen or booties. And y'all actually chose to go with the cookies, which I imagine is probably more aesthetically pleasant and better for the children who should be in school, but instead of watching this television program.
I am not scandalized by
Whoa,
this.
sorry.
I'm really not
buddy.
scandalized by this.
Sorry, buddy.
I'm not.
Sorry. I messed around and gave you the mistaken impression that you were allowed to keep
Butt
talking on these
chugging?
topics.
Remember butt chugging? That was a thing. Oreos in the booty isn't anything at this point. In closing, I would like to introduce you to the YouTube star who, according to Forbes, made $22 million last year alone. Please roll that. This is Ryan. He is 7 years old. I don't have a last name for him because he goes by Ryan Toys Review, but you may wonder, did I look to see if this kid is Filipino? I did. Doesn't seem to be. But Bomani...
Well, does it matter that he's Filipino? You're claiming every other... You just claim Kyler Murray as being Korean. Why does Filipino matter?
Well, there's a Vietnamese blend here. I just wanted to be clear about the terms of his ethnicity. But here's the thing, Bo. The reason he has $22 million is not even because he's like sold out and doing all this sponsored content. It's because the world is viewing this. This video we're watching with this weird egg that makes him the apex predator of YouTube, it has 1.6 billion views. All of which is to say that, is it too late for me to get into this? Because I kind of feel like this is an opportunity, a business proposition that as a fellow Asian American Ryan Toys Review, you might want to share with your big brother on this set. So yes, actually I am claiming him. In fact, I want to go into business with this young gentleman. Yin? Look how happy he is.